6. Retail pricing for profit part 3. And I'll talk about price changes. In the previous lecture, you learned how to establish prices for the merchandise you have and you learned markdown. And I'll continue to talk about other types of price changes. And let's start from this markdown cancellation and then markdown. Permanent markdowns permanently change the value of the inventory. That means that if you have an item that will be out of season really quickly soon, or if you have an item that you want to remove from the floor, then you can have these permanent markdown. And these markdown will permanently change the value of your inventory. On the other hand, you can have temporary markdown. These are the reductions in price for a specified period of time. So for example, for the holiday season, you have this special temporary markdown, or you can have this like a weekend or something special 1 or 2 day sales, and these will be types of temporary markdown. And after this certain specified period of time, this markdown will be canceled. So that is called as markdown cancellation. It can either go back to the original retail price, or because of other sales you have, it can go to other prices. And markdown cancellation is the upward price adjustment that offsets the former markdown. And for this case, you have to make sure that the new price does not exceed the original retail when you cancel your markdown. So for example, you have a product or the shirt retailed at $20 and you had this like a temporary markdown to $10. And after a certain period of the time of this temporary sale, and if you want to put it back to the floor, you cannot have that to more than $20, the original retail. So you cannot have that to like $30 or like $40 or $50. So it cannot exceed the original retail price. So you have to make sure that part. And now let's talk about how you can calculate this markdown cancellation and net markdown. Net markdown is the concept because when you have this markdown cancellation, that's not gonna be your actual markdown. So you have to deduct the amount of this markdown cancellation from your total markdown. So that will be your net markdown. So your net markdown can be calculated as total markdown minus markdown cancellation. And your net markdown percentage can be calculated as dollar net markdown divided by your actual sales. So now you know how to calculate this dollar amount of net markdown and net markdown percent. And let's look at this example to calculate that. For a midnight sale, 24 jackets were reduced from $80 to $60. During the sale, 14 jackets were sold. After the sale, the remaining 10 jackets were remarked to the original $80 price. Determine the total markdown, markdown cancellation, and net markdown. So this is giving you the idea about that you have a markdown, but also at the same time you had this markdown cancellation. So what you have to do, because it asks you to calculate the total markdown and markdown cancellation and net markdown, so you can go ahead and start to calculate from the total markdown. So let's see. What is the total markdown dollar? So you have to think about how many jackets were sold, right, at the markdown price. So you see that 24 jackets, and the markdown dollar for each jacket was $80 to $60. So $20 was the dollar markdown, and you will multiply this dollar markdown with 24 jackets. So 24 multiplied with the dollar markdown, which is $20, then you will get this 480 as a total markdown. And second step, now you can calculate markdown cancellation. This example says you that you have 14 jackets were sold, but after the sale, remaining 10 jackets were remarked. So that means that these 10 jackets sales were canceled. So that markdown was canceled. So how many items? How many jackets? 10 jackets, and these amounts were canceled. So 10 multiplied with 80 minus 60 again, because this amount cancel. So that is 200. And if you remember how to calculate the net markdown, that's gonna be 480 minus markdown cancellation. So that is 280. So your actual markdown, you plan to have this 400, more than that, like 480, the dollar markdown. But your actual markdown that you had was 280 because this $200 amount was canceled. And let's look at the second example. Using the same information from example 6.6, assume that 36 jackets were received and 12 jackets were sold prior to the midnight sale. So as stated in example 6.6, 14 jackets were sold during the sale. The remaining 10 jackets were eventually sold at the full $80 price. Then determine the net markdown percent. Because now you sold every jacket and you can calculate this percentage. Because you know now actual sales. So let's go ahead and calculate this. So now it's one more step that you have to do. Now you have to calculate the net markdown percentage. So let's look at this. What you have to do, you have to calculate actual sales. Your net markdown dollar is already calculated from the previous example. Let's look at the actual sale. The first 12 jackets were sold at the original price, so it's $80, and you have 960. And you have how many jackets during the sale is 14 multiplied with the 60, that is 840. And after that that the markdown was canceled, 10 jackets were sold at the original price, so 10 multiplied with 80. And your actual sales, what you're gonna do, you're gonna combine all these, and you will get 2,600. Now you know actual sales, and you also know net markdown dollar. Then you can calculate net markdown percentage, because your net markdown percentage can be calculated as dollar net markdown divided by actual sale. So that is, if you remember from the previous one, it was 280 net markdown divided by actual sale. So your net markdown percent is 10.77%. Okay, great. So now you know both how you can calculate the net markdown dollar and net markdown percentage. And let's look at another example. The buyer for the bookshop received 200 books priced at $15.95 each. 50 books sold at this price. The remaining books were marked down to $11.95 for a special sales promotion. During the promotion, 85 books were sold. After the promotion, the buyer repriced the remaining books to $14.95 and sold all of them. Determine total markdown, markdown cancellation, dollar net markdown, and net markdown percent. This is more like advanced version of the question, right? But you can do it. So let's go ahead and do this. So you can calculate total markdown, and also you can calculate, because there's markdown cancellation, you can calculate that, and you can calculate net markdown if you know A and B, and you can calculate net markdown percent if you know this dollar net markdown and your actual sales. So let's look at this. So what you need to do, you have to calculate your total markdown first. And then you can calculate your markdown cancellation and dollar net markdown and your net markdown percent. So let's start from the total markdown. So you have to think about how many items had this markdown. Let me highlight this. And from this question, it says 200 books and 50 books were sold, so remaining 150. 200 minus 50. had these markdowns. So that is 150 multiplied with your original price minus your new price. That's gonna be the dollar markdown for each book. So you get $4 markdown for each book, and the total dollar markdown for these 150 items will be $600. And second, you can calculate markdown cancellation. Here, it said during the promotion, 85 books were sold. After the promotion, the buyer reprinted the remaining books to this new price. And at this point, you can calculate how many items were canceled from that markdown. So that will be 150 minus 85. So 65 books will go back to the $14.95. So what you can do, how much markdowns canceled, you can do this item, 65 item, multiply with, you have to be careful, this time it's gonna be 14.95, the new price, minus that, the markdown price, which is 11.95. So you got this 195 as the markdown cancellation. So now you can calculate net markdown dollar, which is gonna be your total markdown minus markdown cancellation. So that will be 600 minus 195. So you got 405. So $405 was net markdown dollar. So you have to make sure you have to calculate your total markdown first and then cancellation, and you can get this dollar net markdown. And next step, now you know the dollar net markdown and you want to calculate the net markdown percentage. And if you want to do that, you have to calculate what else? There will be total sales. So let's go step by step. First, your total sale. First sales that you have from the original price, you sold 50 books. So that is 50 books multiplied with the original first price. That is 15.95. So you got this 797.50 from the first sales, and the second sale from the discount, you also have this like a new price, and you sold 85 books at 11.95. So that is 1015.75. So you sold during the sales promotion. So that's gonna be second sale, and you have another sale, third sale. How many books were sold at 14.95? Yes, 65. So 65 books were sold at 14.95. So your total for this sale is gonna be 971.75. So what you have to do now, you need to combine all these to calculate the total sales. So that will be, if you combine all these, there will be $2,785. Now you can calculate the net markdown percentage. So there will be dollar net markdown divided by this total sales. So there will be 405 divided by 2,785. So you will get this 14.54% as your net markdown percent. So that's gonna be your markdown that you had. So you know how to calculate dollar net markdown as well as net markdown percentage now. Okay, and let's go to the next slide for the different concept. And now let's talk about the additional markup. An additional markup is the price revision that increases the selling price above the initial retail price. And this is used to correct the pricing error made by the buyer, by data entry staff, or by marketing room personnel that resulted in the initial price being marked too low. So that means that you're gonna have this additional markup because of some maybe mistake you had, errors you had, then you're gonna make it a little bit higher. So that's called as an additional markup. And let's look at how you can calculate this additional markup. You can calculate both dollar amount and the percentage. So your dollar additional markup will be your new price minus previous price. And your additional markup percent is gonna be your dollar additional markup divided by dollar net sales. And here is the example. The sunglass department received 20 sunglasses in style CH42 that retail for $200. Currently, there are 15 of the same style of sunglasses on the floor with a retail price of $180. The buyer has initiated an additional markup dollar on the 15 order sunglasses to avoid any confusion for customers. So can you calculate the additional markup percent on the older sunglasses? And all 15 sunglasses were sold at the new $200. Then you can calculate this dollar additional markup, and you can also calculate the net sales, and then you can calculate this additional markup percent. So let's go ahead and start. How can you calculate the dollar additional markup? That will be new price, increased price minus previous price. So that is how many sunglasses? It says for the 15 order sunglasses. So 15 multiplied with this additional dollar markup for each one. So that will be 200 minus 180. So your total dollar additional markup is gonna be 300. And you can calculate the net sales from this style. And for this style, after you have this additional markup, still you sold all these 15. So that is gonna be 15 multiplied with the 200. So you have the sales of this $3,000 amount for these 15 sunglasses. Then now you can calculate your additional markup percentage. That will be dollar additional markup divided by dollar net sale. So that will be 300 divided by 3,000. So you will get how much percent of the additional markup percent? And your additional markup percent will be 10%. Okay, so now you learn how to calculate this net markdown and also how to calculate this additional markup. And another concept you can learn about the markup is gonna be markup cancellation. So markup cancellation is a reduction in the price of an item that previously had an additional markup. So you can think about this possible markup cancellation that can happen after you have this additional markup. And this markup cancellation never exceeds the amount of the additional markup applied to an item. So you have to know about this part about the markup cancellation. And let's talk about discounts. Discounts are the reduction in the price of merchandise or services for customers based on their ability to meet certain criteria. So you will know that if you're working for the company, you can get the discount, right? So that's gonna be called as employee discount. And maybe you can have like some special discount for the special customer. And these are part of these price changes for your merchandise. And this is usually a percent off to the retail price, and percentage may vary depending on the status of the individual. So for example, these types of discount intended for employees and special customer and people who had loyalty program. So if you have this loyalty program for a certain brand or the company, maybe you get this like a special discount, like coupons and so on sometimes, and these are types of discount that you can get. And let's look at the example. And this is the example about the employee discount. So an employee purchased a lamp that retail for $439, and the employee discount is 15%. How much should the employee pay for the lamp before sales tax? So what you can do, you can calculate dollar amount of the discount that employee can get, and you can deduct that amount from the retail price. So that is, employee discounts is 15% out of this retail price. So that's gonna be 439 multiplied with the 15%. So the dollar amount that you can get the discount is $65.85. And what do you need to do for the next step? Now you can do actual purchase price. What you can do from the original retail price, you can minus this employee discount amount. So that is 439 minus 65.85. So your actual, the employee can pay for this lamp at how much? Is 373.15. So you got the discount. The employee got the discount. So if you know the percentage of the discount, you can calculate this new price. And once again, this is another format of these price changes about your product. And this is going to be really important to know, because your sales and your discount and your markdown markup will influence your gross margin and profit. So once again, you need to understand each concept and how you can calculate those. And also you have to make sure, if you're working for the retailer, you have to make sure to keep all this record accurately. So that's pretty much it. And let's just go over what you did for this chapter. So we start from the retail objectives and pricing, and you learn pricing policies and retail image related to these pricing policies. And you learn factors that affect pricing, and you also learned price consciousness. So as lots of customers nowadays, they are very price conscious, you need to be careful when you set up the price for your merchandise. And you also learn price lines and zones, and that will be related to your pricing strategy as well. And pricing related to consumer demand and how you can establish prices. We talked about it. And you also learn price changes, especially markdown, markups, this like a markdown cancellation and markup cancellation. And you also learn this additional discount that you can think about as price changes. So that's it for chapter 6. So you now learn about how you can set up the price, you can make the price for your merchandise. And so that's gonna be it for chapter 6. And let's talk about inventory. It's gonna be the big part of your asset, that big part of your merchandise. So let's talk about that in the next chapter. And that's it for today, and see you the next time.